I just had to like literally sit there and stare at the screen like, is this really, did I really fail the NCLEX? Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you can read from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking all about the NCLEX, my experience with it, how I both failed and passed, just everything that goes into like preparing for the test, taking the test, and how you can actually pass the test. It's really weird, but I feel like a lot of people don't talk about everything that goes into the NCLEX. This test is like literally what you're preparing for, what you go to nursing school for. Like this is like what you have to do to actually become a nurse. I think it's important that people know realistic expectations about this test. I honestly can say that I was not prepared for this test at all. I think that really contributes to why I failed on my first attempt. But we gonna get into all of that, okay? So let's take it all the way back to the beginning. I'm gonna take y'all back to right after graduation. I went to the University of Pennsylvania nursing school. It was a 4-year bachelor's program. I graduated my bachelor's. I was ready to go. I felt like I did what I need to do. I was out, right? Wrong, okay? Honestly, I can say that Penn did not prepare its students for the NCLEX at all. I'm sorry, I had to be the one to say it. It's supposed to be like, it's an Ivy League, you know? Like it's supposed to be like the greatest school, and it is considered the #1 nursing school in the world, but yet they didn't really prepare us for the most important thing for our nursing career, which is taking the NCLEX. The reason why I say that is because it just wasn't emphasized as I feel like it should have been, and I think that we also weren't given the proper resources to prepare for it. The resources that they did give us was ATI. If you're in nursing school or went through this process, you might be familiar with the platform. Honestly, they didn't even really give it to us. I'm gonna take that back. They offered it if you wanted it, so of course I signed my name for it, but it was just like, it wasn't pushed at all, which I think is like really bad in terms of like preparing your students for the NCLEX. Like I said, after graduation, that's all I was prepared with. I had like a link to sign up for ATI, but I didn't even look at it because I was like so busy with everything else that was going on. I was really not knowing where to even begin or start with that whole process. I have an older sister, luckily, that is a nurse, so she had told me the resources that she used, and I would like hear other people, like they would always mention to me to use NCLEX. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. It might be Climax, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And a lot of people told me about UWorld also. So mind you, like I said, like right after graduating from nursing school, the only resources I really knew about was ATI, which my school gave me, but didn't enforce us to use, didn't assign anything or like guide us through it. NCLEX and UWorld, and that's only from hearing that through my peers. Right out of graduation, I was really not prepared. I graduated in May, and about June, I would say, I started looking into my study materials because I had my test scheduled to be sometime in July. So June, I started studying, and I mainly focused on NCLEX and UWorld. I was using them really bad. For the NCLEX videos, I would like listen to them here and there. It wasn't like on a consistent basis. I did take notes, which was good. For UWorld, it was the same kind of situation. I did use the questions and I did practice, but I was probably doing like 10-15 questions like once a day, and I probably did that, like, I'm not even gonna lie, 2 or 3 times a week. It was just really not consistent at all. I didn't know what I was doing. So I was studying pretty horribly my first time around. I also just attribute that to like not knowing. Like I really just didn't know like how to study for real. For me, I know that the way that I am with taking tests and studying from nursing school is that the test that I took, at least I could figure out what the answer might be just based on like a basic understanding of the knowledge. And going into the NCLEX, that's what I thought it would be. I thought it would literally just be a test where it's like I'm just using everything that I learned from nursing school and answering pretty simple questions that I can like intuitively figure out if I really don't know everything. So that kind of like shaped the way that I study. So I literally just studied just to get like a basic understanding of stuff. I was doing that all of June. In July, I ended up taking a job opportunity. Basically, I was like working Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and I was literally mentoring high school students and teaching them about nursing. I had to do like lectures, do lesson plans months. So I literally had no time to study for the NCLEX. I only studied like 2 weekends out of that program. It was bad. When July comes for me to take my test, I did about half of the Mark Clement lectures. I didn't really feel like I needed to do them all because, like I said, I thought it would just be like any other nursing school test where I could just figure it out if I didn't know the material that I was supposed to know. When I was first studying with Mark Clement, a lot of his videos were not on YouTube. A lot of them were like being taken down. I did all that I could with that. For UWorld, I think I only did like 300 questions in total probably. I had took the assessment the day before my exam. It said I was gonna fail, and it was right. It did not lie, okay? My ATI took so long to come back. When I had logged in to see like what test dates were available, all they had was the end of July, which by this time it was like 2 days away from when I was like looking. And they also had like some dates in August, but I had to take it in July. Once I got my ATI, I had to schedule my test for 2 days after that. I really only had 2 days to prepare to take the test after scheduling it. That whole situation was another thing. For those of you who may not know about the whole process to schedule yourself for the NCLEX, because I didn't know either, you have to apply to like your state nursing board, register for the actual test through Pearson, and then once all those steps are completed, then you'll get your ATI, which allows you to schedule your test. I only had 2 days to prepare for the NCLEX after scheduling myself. It was just a lot of factors that I didn't realize while I was in the moment, but now looking back, I really don't know how I expected myself to be successful. You know, first attempt for me taking the NCLEX. When I got there, I felt good. I was just like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm not gonna let myself get psyched out about this test. Like, it's just a test. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna take it, and that's gonna be that. And that's what I did. So I went in and I took the test. Y'all, when I tell you, when I was taking this test the first time, I felt like I was reading a different language. I will say it was like a couple questions. I won't be super dramatic. It was like every other question, I was just like, what are they talking about? Like, I literally do not know what's going on. I was so shocked. I couldn't even get it down to 2 answers for some questions. Go into a little bit of detail about how the NCLEX is formatted. I was really appreciative that UWorld is structured the same as the NCLEX. The way that the screen looks and everything is very similar, so it did feel like I was taking just another UWorld assessment. I was definitely caught off guard in the fact that you can't go back to any question that you did prior. So like once you answer that question, that's it, and it just keeps moving on. I kept looking at how many questions I was answering, and once I was getting to like 50 and I still felt I wasn't getting enough questions right, I was just like, bro, am I failing right now? Like, I just really didn't know what to think. Once it got to 75 questions, my screen went blank and my heart dropped. I knew that that was a minimum number of questions that you can get. I was just like, I had to sit there for a second. Immediately, once I got out, I had like called my sister and I was just like, I don't know, bro. I believe it didn't take like a week or so before you get your like unofficial results. Cause I had took the test on a Friday. I had went to check my quick results on a Wednesday, I believe. When I saw fail, I was just like shocked again. I was just speechless. It was like just such a weird feeling for me. I just had to like literally sit there and stare at the screen like, is this like real? Like, is this really, did I really fail the NCLEX? Yeah, you guys, it was just like a lot of emotions that day when I found out that I failed on my first attempt. Of course, I cried. I called, you know, my mom, my sister, let them know, and honestly couldn't even really talk to anybody. I was just so like devastated, just shocked. I just didn't understand how it happened. But now looking back, going through everything and being in the position I am in now, I do understand that there was like many different factors playing into how that happened. But in the moment, I couldn't see anything but the fact that I felt like a failure. And that was like one of the first times in my life that I really doubted myself. I just couldn't comprehend what to do. Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard. But like I said, looking back now, I do understand that it was all those different factors playing into me not being prepared and just not knowing what to expect. And this is why I'm recording this video, because I want hopefully to help people who have gone through this same situation, or, you know, are just preparing to not go through the same situation. And the way I was studying, how fast my test day had came around, different like obligations that I had during the time, it kind of just like didn't really set me up to be in the best position to take the test and, you know, be successful in passing with it. After I kind of got over, and I wouldn't say that I fully even got over my feelings of like failure, I really just changed everything around me in terms of how I was preparing for the NCLEX, because now I knew what to expect, what the test looked like. I know like some people might relate to this and like be in the same way as me. I feel like for a lot of things, I need to know what stuff is going to look like first before I actually go through with it and figure it out on my own. Like I learned from example. Once I knew what the test looked like, I was like, okay, we can figure out how to get through this. Actually, we have to figure out how to get through this. So for my second time around with my studying, I still use all the same resources, except I changed the way I was studying. Instead of like being inconsistent and doing it every other day or whatever, I was literally studying day and night. Every day I was studying something. I went through all of the Mark Clemec lectures again. I took detailed notes, wrote everything from memory for each lecture, and I did practice questions on it. With UWorld, I made myself do at least 50 questions a day, and it may sound like a lot at first, but once you start getting the hang of it, it's really doable. And honestly, towards the end, I started to do like 100 questions a day. That's honestly what was really key in helping me to know how they want me to answer these questions. Probably the number one reason why a lot of people fail is they don't understand how the NCLEX wants you to answer these questions. The NCLEX is honestly a safety test, and it makes sense because it's really trying to test if you're going to be a safe nurse. A lot of questions, it's really just what is the safest thing to do. There may be like a lot of like things that are like really good to do and you should do them, but it may not be the safest and the best thing to do. My second time around studying, I was like really just asking myself that question, and I was just way more consistent in studying each day. I use all of the resources that I had. I use ATI for like a refresher on content. It's kind of like a book almost, and they have like practice assessments that you can do. So I just like will review chapters of the book in like areas where I didn't know too much about. The nursing school, they don't teach you like hospital procedures or hospital protocol, but that stuff is on the NCLEX. You have to know infection control, mass casualties, ranking like something that's emergent versus like non-emergent, and that's something that we really didn't learn in nursing school. So it's like, how do they expect us to know to pass this test if they're not teaching us this in nursing school? Like, that's another thing that I have. But anyway, I had scheduled my second attempt to be in September, the end of September. I started studying again in the beginning of August. So from the beginning of August to the end of September, I had to figure out a way to master all this material. Luckily, I did a decent amount of studying in the beginning, so it was kind of just like adding stuff on. Really had like a month and a half to just try to study and know everything I know. Answering like at least 50 questions a day really helped me, because I started to like catch a pattern in what the right answer was and just learn a lot of different content that I really didn't know about. I would definitely suggest that if you did fail your NCLEX and you're like studying to take it again, that you just do more practice questions and really go through the reason as to why those answers are right. That's another thing that I did. Before, I was just answering questions just to answer questions, but the second time around, I was actually going through the rationales and understanding why that answer was right and why every other answer did not work. That was super helpful in like me understanding the content and like being able to answer more questions that dealt with that same subject than just answering and knowing the answer to that one question, if that makes sense. My test day came around pretty fast, I would say. This time around, it's like I knew when I was taking my test, so I wasn't like caught off guard or just like trying to cram. My second time when I went to take it, I was just like, let's get it. I felt kind of nervous because it's like a lot of anxiety and just like so many negative emotions that can come with retaking a test that you failed. My second attempt, I was just like, no, just be strong. I kept like telling myself, you know this answer. I had to just like instill more confidence in myself, because it can really mess with your mind. Like, this test is just a lot. When I tell you, I was like, this test is easy. It's so crazy just comparing like my experience from the first time I took it to the second time. Like the first time, like I told you guys, it literally felt like I was reading a different language. Second time around, I was just like, what? This is like ABC 1, 2, 3. So y'all, I was just like answering the questions like so fast, and I was just like, this really isn't that bad. Once I got to 75 questions and it was still going on my second attempt, I felt good because I knew that I was still in it. So yeah, the NCLEX is an adaptive test, so it will progressively ask you harder questions if you do get an answer right. Questions did get harder towards the end, but that just like let me know that I was doing good. For example, if you like answer an easy question wrong, it'll give you an easier question. It just like lowers your possibility of reaching that passing standard. But I got to 95 questions and the screen went blank, and I was like, that's fair. I'll take that. I felt really good about this time around, but at the same time, I just knew that whatever is meant for me will eventually come to be. If I really wanted to be a nurse, then I would be a nurse. After the test, I was still unsure, because that's just really how the NCLEX is. Like, even if you feel like you did really good, it's just like you're still like, I could have failed. So I was just like, you know, whatever ends up coming out of this, I'll be okay. If I fail again, I'll just have to study more, and that's okay. And if I pass, thank God, because I don't want to ever take this test again. Where I was after my second attempt, and then 48 hours after that, I did my quick results and found out that I passed, and it was just like such a breath of fresh air. This honestly has to be one of the hardest periods that I went through. And I just think that people really don't understand how hard nursing is. I think people know it's stressful, but they don't know that it's like, you really have to know what you're talking about. Nurses are really life-saving. Going through this whole process made me appreciate nurses even more and appreciate the career that I chose. For nurses to know all this information, I feel like we should be appreciated more. We can finally say that I'm a part of that community. I am officially a nurse, a registered nurse. Yeah, I made it. Like, I'm just so thankful for like my support system. If I didn't have that, I really don't know how I would have gotten through everything that I went through. When I had failed on that first attempt, I was really just stuck in that moment and stuck in that hard time because I couldn't see anything else outside of it. When like a single pass or fail determines if you're qualified enough to be a nurse, they say that you're not. It's like a lot of self-doubt that comes with that. What I realized coming out of this whole process is this test doesn't define you. Even though it qualifies you to be a licensed professional, a licensed nurse, this test doesn't qualify that you're going to be a great nurse. Like, if you really want to do this, then you can do it. And just because the test may tell you the first time or the second time and even the third time that you don't pass or you failed, like, no, you can still be a nurse and you can still go after your dream. I don't know, I just want to like make that known that like it doesn't matter if you fail this test. I feel like what matters is your resilience and like getting back up and going after it even more. So another thing too that I had to learn is that you can literally only do your best. I think that once you really do that, you can't really fail. If you're really trying your best and putting your all into it, then eventually you will come out successful. Like, there's no doubt about it. I just want to like close this video off by saying that if you did fail the NCLEX and you're watching this video, know that it is okay and that you will be okay in the end. I know it's like really, really hard right now. It's okay to like go through the whole process of feeling like down, feeling hurt, because it is hurtful and it is a hard period, but know that you're not stuck there. Know that there's still a way for you to get out. There's still a way for you to come out on top. Put your best foot forward. Just figure out like a practical plan that you can implement that will help you to be successful, whether that's like looking at your like more weaker areas, more consistent, and changing the way you study. Just figure out like what it is that may be blocking you from doing your best. Yeah, just figure that out, do your best, and you will eventually pass your test. I promise you. And just know that although this test does make you a licensed professional, it doesn't necessarily make you a great nurse. I feel like a great nurse is somebody who really has like their heart in this field, and if that's you, then you're a great nurse no matter how many times you failed or how many times you passed. That is all I have for you guys today. I really hope that through me sharing like my experience of the NCLEX and giving you guys more information on the whole process that goes into taking it, that just helps you to prepare, to know what to expect. My nursing program specifically, and I feel like a lot of other nursing programs, really don't prepare you for this test, which is like the most important thing in your nursing career. So yeah, we need to talk about this more, and nursing programs and nursing schools need to do a better job of preparing their students by giving them resources or something of that nature. I know other programs like do exit exams with like the HESI and other tests like that. I feel like that shouldn't determine if you graduate or not. This should be more so like a marker to help guide you in knowing what you should be studying. Nursing programs, y'all need to do better. That's like all about the NCLEX and what to expect with it. I really hope you guys found something good that you can take away from this video. If you have any questions about the NCLEX or preparing to study for it, definitely comment down below and I will answer all y'all questions, because like I said, I feel like a lot of people don't talk enough about everything that goes into it. So I'm definitely down to talk with y'all about any questions that you might have or anything, you know, any experiences you want to share too. Like if you did fail your NCLEX and you have some advice for other people, definitely comment that down below too. I really want us to be, you know, just help each other out. I feel like that's the most important thing that we get out of the experiences that we have, is to help other people through them. That's all I got have for you guys in this video. I will see you guys in my next one.